Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just bumped into something strange. Google is really getting intrusive when it comes to the way it's encroaching on search engine result pages. If you didn't know this, there's a couple of goofy things that have been happening, but I just found something I want to share here when it comes to look at how Google can get intrusive and introduce its advertising into the basic functionality of the users using Google to find the site. So I just searched Craigslist up in my top bar of Chrome, and up pops Craigslist. Now look at here, we've got this search bar system here. Now you'd imagine that if I just typed in what I want to search, that it would go into the site and show me. Now watch this. I searched Sony A7 III, which is I'm looking for a used camera. I hit search, and look at what this does. So what it did is it searches the site by typing site:craigslist.org, looking for Sony A7 III. But look at this. The Google shopping stuff pops up on the top. So now a couple things have happened. And then underneath you've got the Craigslist pages, right? So what is pretty silly about that is I wanted in Minneapolis, so there's Minneapolis, but we've got Toronto, Columbia. But think of a couple things here. So first of all, if you're Craigslist, having that search bar in your rich snippet area on the search engine result page just made it so that MBP, B&H, Park Avenue Photo, MBP, you've got competitors in on your content. That's kind of frustrating. But here's another thing. Imagine if I was really only interested in Craigslist. Now these companies are paying for advertising on a search within Craigslist itself. So long story short, we all need to be careful about how our paid advertising gets used. Another thing that has been happening, there was an article out recently about when you search for, so let's just do Salesforce. Let's search for Salesforce, CRM, right? So the idea is Salesforce now is pretty much forced to do a paid advertisement. So here's Salesforce paid advertisement, right? It's big, it's prominent, and right underneath that is a competitor. And then you have Insightly. So you've got Insightly and Pipedrive. Those are all paid advertising. Then you have the organic click. Well, think about what this is. So Google, rightfully so, I'm not saying it's bad, but you need to think about this, has allowed Insightly and Pipedrive to advertise on the word Salesforce. That's a competitive term, that they're going after their competitors. Well, what this does is it forces Salesforce to have to create their own paid advertising ad to stay top of page for people who are clearly looking for Salesforce. Now, I think that's open market. Google's free to do that. I don't think it's wrong either, but it's something to be aware of when you're doing digital marketing. So just be aware that two things here. One, think of how by them having this ad up here, they're forced to spend to get their normal clicks. I'm sure they're just getting raked over the coals when it comes to their paid advertising click. I'd click on this ad too to make sure I'm going there instead of the organic down here, which is free. Organic is free, paid costs money. The second thing is imagine if you're Pipedrive or Insightly. You can often think it's a good idea to go after competitive keywords to get in front of people, but you got to remember that some people are just looking for the login or it's just for logistics. So if I do Salesforce login, right? All the ads went away. Well, that's because these guys are smart and it's a high protein industry, a CRM. This is super competitive. But imagine if I was just searching Salesforce so I could log into my Salesforce, and every time somebody does that, which I guarantee you happens a lot, Pipedrive and Insightly are in front of that user. That might be a low quality Google ad that you're paying for as Insightly or Pipedrive, and you might just get raked over the coals and it might not be worth it. So you need to be careful. Google's doing some interesting things. This is good learning to pay attention to. One, remember that competitors can take out ads on your own stuff. Two, remember that when you have your own ad up here, people are going to start paying for that. You're going to pay just for basic functionality searches, and that can be weird. And 3, remember that Google's making a lot of money, and search engine is pretty relevant. And then that 3rd thing, look at how goofy this was. If you have a rich snippet that's popping up with a search, I don't know that I'd want to search on my site like that. If that causes even 5% of my users to search here for Sony a7 III, right? And what that's going to do is help competitors get in front of my stuff. Now it's funny, it didn't trigger that. So it does change periodically. But think of that's kind of frustrating. Be careful how you set your stuff up for these rich snippets, because it can cause people not to click into your website, and it can even have your competitors' information in front of you. Good luck with everything.